What if I don't pay my bills because I can't afford it? Coronavirus 2020. Well, I will tell you, that's a tough call. First of all, I got a friend of mine I talked to yesterday, and they said, look, I'm just hoping to make it during this whole shutdown, and now it's starting to look pretty serious because people have talked about staying shut down through July, maybe a whole nother year, maybe another month, who knows. At first we were hoping it was only going to be a week or two, maybe 4 weeks at the most, but it's kind of ongoing. And here's the problem: a lot of people are not working. Okay, the people that are working are getting limited hours or lots of hours, and some are getting a little bit of bonus pay for working during coronavirus. $1 extra an hour or 50 extra a week or something, which really is not worth your life, honestly. If you get corona and die for an extra 50 a week, I mean, and then the places that are doing a hell of a business because they're selling all the right things, whether it be fuel, food, whatever, and they're making bank, and they're not thinking about their employees because they're lucky to make any sales right now. There's businesses that are closed. Businesses that are closed that will never reopen because they're taking so much damage. Oh yeah, they talk about that stimulus money for people and businesses and all. All that is a loan on your taxes, a government loan to pay back. Just more debt, and so I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and I said, well, what are you going to do? And he's like, well, all my businesses are closed right now and don't know how long to be closed, and I don't know if I'll ever recoup because the spring and the summer are my best parts of business and all that, and uh, there's nothing I can do except for make sure that I'm fed. Now, he has a property he owns in Panama for residents, and then he has a rental for one of his children and him when he's in Miami. Now, Miami is like nothing less than $2,000 a month to rent a small apartment. Okay, so I can imagine he has something fairly nice there, probably about $3,000 a month, and then he owns this property in Panama, and the thing is that he's like, I'm not paying rent, I'm not paying utilities, forget it. I'm making sure I have money because I don't know how long this is going to go so I can eat. Now, the guy's all of like 85 pounds to begin with. But maybe he has the right idea. The only problem is that if you don't pay your bills, let's start with rent. Okay, so say you don't pay your rent. Now, I'm not talking about the gracious, wonderful landlords that have erased, granted, gifted the cost of rent for a month or two or whatever to their tenants because of coronavirus, because they had really big hearts and they're wonderful, wonderful people. Those people probably own their properties outright. They don't have any mortgages or any payments on those except for the yearly taxes or whatever. And that's wonderful. I think that's a blessing. I'm going to say thank you to all those terrific landlords that do that. I have one rental, and they're not forgiving anything for Corona. I already asked if they had a Corona discount. Um, Now, you have to realize if you're a landlord, you have bills too, and you're trying to survive too. So when your tenant does not pay the rent, now some landlords are getting a government funding, which is probably a loan too, if people don't pay rent. But did they get it? Are they going to get it? How long will it take them to get that money? Maybe, will it be a year? Will it be 2 years? Will it be like the other hurricane deals where they said, oh, we'll pay everybody for loss of business and damages? And I know people today from hurricanes from 5 years ago that have not been paid for their businesses. And some that went out of business because it was just they lost so much. Um, you have to understand, if you're a landlord and you own a rental property, you have probably got into the monopoly world where you like to buy one after another. So you will mortgage one to go buy another one, run with that for a little bit, and then you'll go ahead and you're making income from those two properties. So then you can afford to buy this other one, and you kind of stack them up. I know a doctor that's retired that has like 45 rental properties, although he's got a huge, huge mortgage because he mortgaged stuff out, and he has to pay that payment. And don't believe that banks are going to forgive all that stuff for Corona and all that stuff all the time, because every city, state, the USA and Europe are all different. And you know, goes down to bottom line, you can't depend on anybody but yourself. So I would not rely on any of those things unless I saw it right there, boom, boom, in front of me, and I had a check to pay for, you know, my losses when I'm gifting out tenants rent, when I still have mortgages and stuff to pay. So you have to understand, if you don't pay your rent, okay, that when this is over, and even before, there's people already being evicted right now. And you can say all you want about, oh, it's illegal, and the police this, and you can say all you want, but I'm telling you, there are people being evicted. And what happens is, if that rent keeps piling up, whether it's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months rent, as soon as the shutdown is over, that landlord can file an eviction on you for all those back rents. And then what's going to happen? You got to take off of work. You got to do this. You got to do that. Go to court. You got to go to court how many times? And depending on how your lease is written, okay, because in some places in Florida, it's like a 7-day thing or a 3-day thing, and they can literally have the sheriffs just empty you out. Your stuff's on the street. So if you don't have the money for a U-Haul or whatever, or a place to live, you're on the street. You know, they fear no evil. And otherwise, I mean, you want to go ahead and not pay your rent. That goes 1, 2, 3, 4 months. As soon as the lockdown's over, 98% of the time you're going to be liable for all of that rent. All of it. And the upcoming month. And so they will sue you. And when you go to court, you're liable for all of it. All of it. So when you cannot pay, not only do you have an eviction on your record, which is really bad to try to rent, especially if you're in the state of Florida. You'll be lucky to rent anything with a Florida state eviction and rent in Florida. Then you have no place to live. You only got so many days to move. So you're going to owe that money. It's not a free thing. It's not a law. It's not anything else. I'm telling you, you still owe the money to the landlord. Your utilities. Oh, I heard, you know, yesterday somebody told me, oh, it's against the law for them to shut utilities off in Florida. No, it's not. I have a friend right down the street from my Florida place that got his water shut off. No lie. Remember, the government is giving free, no payback loans to businesses that keep their employees working and will promise their old employees a job back when Corona stops and everything reopens. Those are free loans. if they keep so many people employed. So trust me, the water company is going to have so many people working because they want that cool non-payback loan. The rest of the stuff is payback loans, but they have to keep their end of the bargain. They're promising to keep some people employed. Somebody's got to work. How do you go out and get a gallon of milk? There's got to be a trucker that brings it. There's got to be somebody that loads it in the cooler. There's got to be somebody that's checking out and taking the money to sell you that product. Okay? Somebody has to work. They can't shut everything down. They're doing a good job at it, though. So, yes, your utilities can be shut off. My best advice to you is most utility companies have a 24-hour computerized voicemail service thing. And you can call into that and listen to what a lot of them will have an outgoing statement of what they can do, what they can't do, and if you qualify, whatever, and we'll offer extensions sometimes. I can't guarantee that, but you need to call. You need to call during business hours if there's somebody that's in the office. A lot of offices don't have anybody right now, so you have to deal with a computer. But call. My friend says, I don't care if they shut all the utilities off. It's against the law, though. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do if they do? And he says, well, I guess I'll buy candles. So, to me, that's kind of a short answer, but it's not sweet. Call your utility companies and see what the answer machine is saying and understand it. And then do whatever you need to do. Make an extension, whatever you need to do. But remember, you are going to be liable for that money. If you let that electric bill go up and up and up, as soon as coronavirus stops, lockdown's over, you are liable for that $1,200 electric bill. And you only have so much time to pay it. They aren't extending anymore. They will shut your power off. And what happens if they shut your power off? Then you got to pay another deposit. A big deposit. To get it back on. Will you have that money? Probably not. Because a lot of people are out of work. It's going to take time to get back to work. We don't know how much will really be open. We don't know how many people will rehire. We don't know how business is going to be. We don't know if restaurants will only have tables 6 foot away. That's it. And most restaurants aren't huge. They're small. So you're telling me a little small restaurant's going to have 2 or 3 tables and they're going to operate like that and the rest is to go? They're not even going to want to be in business. I would rather be a food truck or just do to-go only. Like Caesar Pizza, where you just go in there and buy a $5 pizza and they're not paying for waitresses or busboys or any of that other crap. They're just paying for cooks and a checker and that's it. So, I think a lot of business will come to that. There's so many businesses that are going to fail. They're, in so bad shape right now because they depend on the spring and the summer businesses, especially in a lot of the tourist areas, and they'll never recoup. They could open tomorrow if coronavirus ended, and they will never recoup for the year. They'll end up bankrupting out in the end. They will lose because they depend on that money. And some of it's bad business, some of it's good, but not everybody's a millionaire, Not everybody, had money in the bank to prepare for this. And money was very hard to get when the corona first hit. I know I went to an ATM one night, and to get some money together, make a payment. And man, I went to like 9 ATMs, and I couldn't get but $100 before 8 o'clock at night. And I was out fooling around with ATMs till like 2 in the morning. It was amazing. Because everybody, got scared and wanted to withdraw all their money out of the banks because they're afraid the banks will be fragile. So, the stock market crashes and everything else. So if you don't pay your utilities and stuff, you're going to owe. You don't pay your rent, you're going to owe. Yeah, you're going to be in worse debt, and I think it bites. But I'm telling you, you can file for unemployment, you can file for welfare, you can do all kinds of stuff, but it will take time to get reimbursed, and it probably will not be in time when the reopening occurs. I mean, already they've talked about those checks that they were going to send every person in the United States and all that. And then they started changing it. Then they said they weren't going to do it. And then they said, well, you know, if you're an independent contractor, well, you lose. You know, it's a mess. I tell you, the only ones that are really totally guaranteed were the people on the city systems like welfare and Social Security, retired. Because I know of somebody that has what do you call it, like a food stamp card thing, and they got an automatic 200 like the first 30 days. It was added extra to their food stamp card thing, and that was for Corona. And then I think it's this month that the Social Security retirees are getting a nice lump sum dumped onto their payment. I think it's over 1,000, and but I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not sure. But those are automatic because it's something the government can trace and track, and they can do the depositing by computer. Boom, boom. All others that have to file it, it's like the unemployment stuff is so high that the computers are overloaded, and some people can't even file. And by the time they pay that, it'll be too late, because it takes time to get all that. And two, because they don't have any offices. And two, a lot of really stupid people are going to end up with federal charges because they're filing for that unemployment when they're in the app gig biz. And unemployment means you are not employed. You're not employed. You have zero income. Unemployment means I filed it one time in my life, and for like a couple months. And it means anything, any money you make, if you're picking up pecans, or you're cashing in tin cans, or you're working another app gig, every week you're supposed to go look for a job. And you're supposed to have signatures of places that you applied for a job for. And you have to turn that in, and then continue your unemployment again. But it usually takes weeks to get it anyway. It did for me. I think it took 4 or 5 weeks before I ever got any unemployment. And it was minuscule compared to what I was making by the week. Oh my gosh. I did a workman's comp thing one time because I got damaged at work. And that was like 3 months, and then they never paid. But I'm telling you, if you don't pay your bills, you will be owing them. In the end, no joke. And you don't just not pay your bills because you think it's a law or whatever. Call the different companies. 24 hours, most of these have answering machine computer things. And listen to what the outgoing message is. And say what your balance is. And make arrangements for payment or whatever you need to do. The only problem is, you got to pay interest on that. Late payment upon more interest and more fines and all that other garbage. It just depends on your particular company. So you need to check on that. Don't just stop paying everything. If you have a problem paying your landlord, call them. Say, I hate for you to hear my sob story, but here's what happened. And see, they might discount you a couple hundred. They might discount you half. You know, they might discount you a whole month. They may not at all, because they're hurting too. They're human. Just like if you owned it, you're human, and you were kind of expecting that money. You might be retired, not be working at all, and your only income is the revenue from your rental properties. So you have to think of it from both sides. Don't just think, because, well, they own it, so they can afford to give me free rent. That's not the case. Nobody owes you nothing. You're a big person. You're out on your own. You need to figure that out. You are responsible for you. So, do what you wish, but I'm telling you, I don't care what the state law, government law, whatever it is, you better pay attention to your utilities or your landlord or whatever it is, because you need to keep up on that and stay up on that the longer this goes on, because you don't want to lose. If you have kids and stuff, you can't go without utilities. Most landlords, actually in Florida, I had prospective rental I was going to do. And the landlord told me, oh, I can't rent to you unless you have the utilities on. As I was like, here, I'm going to just go ahead and pay you and everything, and then I'll get everything turned on. And said, well, I really have to have proof, that you're going to turn it on before I've signed the lease to you. I'm like, why? He said, because it's a law. I can't rent to you unless you have utilities. So if you have no utilities, they can evict you. Yeah, pretty weird, huh? I used to get places when I first moved out, and one of my first rentals that I got, a few years later, because I stayed with a lot of different people, which was a nightmare. I rented a place, and it took me a week or two to make the money to turn each utility on. I did one by one by one. And yeah, I lived by the beach, so I could take showers at the beach and go swimming at the beach till, I got the water on or whatever, or the hot water heater that was powered by gas or electric on. Or I slept with candles till I could get the electric turned on in a week or two. It's hard sometimes in life. I was really young back then. So, yeah. Dude, keep track of what your bills are and what you need to pay. Call them. Call them, whether it's a bank loan, a car loan, whether it's a utility or it's your rent if you're renting, if it's your house payment, whatever it is, just touch base with the people. They might have a thing where they give you free rent for the month or a free car payment for the month. You don't know. Business makes the world go round. That's how it works. And there's so many few people that are in business at this point. Okay, so many things have closed down that those people are striving for that next dollar. I went to order something online and asked a question about it, and they were like, will you pay in advance because we haven't got the order yet? And I'm like, no. They're really pushing. They're pushing to get that money any way they can. And some stuff's really reasonable right now because people are desperate for any dollar bill at all, so they have to take a loss on their sales just because they have the stock, just because it's another dollar. They're selling an item that's $40 for like $20 because they need money. They need your money, if you have any. The ones that are really going to benefit in this are the rich. Because when all these properties go up in foreclosure, then the people that have lots of money will just go and start buying that stuff at the auctions dirt cheap and stacking it up like a Monopoly game. That's exactly what will happen. So current properties that are up for sale are going to suffer because there will be so many on the foreclosure and auction block that, everybody has a little bit of money is going to go out and get it. Because the banks are going to be about wore out, and they're not going to extend loans all over the place. They're going to start restricting, just like government stuff. The government loans, this, that, and the other. They're going to start restricting. So the ones that are, really well-to-do are going to bank on this deal. It's going to make the rich richer and the poor poorer. I think one of the saddest things I've ever seen was going back home to California and seeing more homeless than I'd ever seen before. They'd already moved up into Marina Del Rey. And they were only in downtown LA at one point. They were all the way up in Marina Del Rey. Really beautiful place. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then the pay is huge out there. It's like $15 an hour, but guess what? The cheapest place to rent is $2,500 a month, and it's $10K just to get in. And that's without utilities. That's insane. When you can go across to the south, you go to Arizona, it's cheaper. You go to Texas, it's a little more cheaper. And then you go to more southern states like your Oklahoma and Missouri and Mississippi and Arkansas and Alabama and stuff like that. And the rents are like half or 1/4 of that. And they don't require all those big deposits and everything else to get in. Most of the time, it's just the same as the rent. They just go, well, it's the rent and the same amount for the deposit, So, pay your bills. I'm telling you, keep up on it. If you can't pay them, please call those people and talk to them. and see what you can arrange, because you still owe. As soon as coronavirus lifts, party's over. It's like the axe coming down. Wham! You know, and how are you going to pay it? It's better to check into it. You know, I used to do that crap when I drank when I was a kid before I had kids. I used to go, tomorrow, tomorrow. It's not tomorrow. It's a serious wake-up call when you quit that party life, even though you've been working your butt off and everything else, and just going, tomorrow, like, sue me, whatever. No, you need to pay attention all the time. It's a real big world out there. It's a big adult world. And pay attention to what's going on here. You got plenty of time if you're just sitting there, whether you're working, not working, or you've got reduced shifts or whatever. Get on the phone, use somebody else's phone, get on the computer, whatever you got to do, and research what you need to know about your rent and utilities, your car payments, and your property payments, whatever, your business payments, your business rent, whatever it is, and check with all these people, because, yeah, it's gone on a long time, and they're sweating too, but it's better to confront it than just let it chase you down, because when it's all over, boom, it's going to be like an explosion around the world for everybody. It's just going to destroy the economy and everything else. I just don't know what it'll bring. I think it'll bring a lot of reduced business, because people are going to still be scared to have a lot of people around, and a lot of people working together, close together. I think things are going to be different. I really do. Because they don't have a vaccine for this. They don't have a cure for it, and they don't have an explanation for a lot of it on the coronavirus. So it's something we kind of don't know about. So take care of your business. I'm serious. It's a big person world. Take care of your business. Check on your, debts, and see what you can work out. Because bottom line is, you can only do what you can do. There is no more. Fact. But you got to try. That's what life's all about. If you quit trying, you're dying. And tomorrow's another day. You don't know what tomorrow has to bring. And you just have to live through it. Just like people did in the old Depression era and Prohibition and all kinds of stuff many years before us. You got to try. If you don't, you're a puss. Grow up, get real, and handle your business. We can only do what we can do at this point. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know if we reopen tomorrow. We don't know if we reopen in months or a year. We just don't know. We know that we're saving more lives not reopening. Honest to God, it's amazing the lives that have been lost. Never seen anything like it in my life. And a life is a very special thing. Everybody thinks a little different. If we were all born the same and we all thought the same, it would kind of be a boring world. Especially talk to somebody who thinks exactly the same as you. Variety is the spice of life. Everybody thinks a little different. Everybody has a different amount of education to think with. Whether it be on hands education or college education, whatever it may be. So, take care of your biz. Wish you the best of luck. And I hope all is well, always. And whatever you do, keep smiling. Don't ever let anybody break your stride. And I do hope the best for everyone around the world in this matter. Today, tomorrow, and until this ends. And hopefully we won't have a reoccurrence, which if everybody reopens too quickly and too much people and too much traveling, then yeah, I can imagine another lockdown real quick, or another whole lot of deaths because people's stupidity. Because I mean, even today when you go out to the store, I mean, people are rude. I went to open the door of the store to go in yesterday, and this black girl just like plows through me. Oh, thank you. Like I'm the door service. She couldn't step back and wait her 6 foot while I walked in the door and she could walk out. No, she went to plow through me like I'm the door service. and not 1 foot from me. Like, that's really rude, and that's very dangerous. If she has corona, she might have just got me sick and will kill me. Thanks. There's a lot of idiot people there. And the problem is, a lot of it's tourists. They're people that are running from other places that are extreme lockdowns. And they just think, well, look it, I'll just go over there. Well, thanks. Because if you have corona, which the tests aren't all readily available at this time, you know, you're just down here killing people. So, anyway, I don't know. Anyway, best wishes to you. Pay your bills. Some somehow, call them, talk to them. You have nothing else better to do. Talk to you later. Love ya. And as always, make a new friend every day. Do something kind for a stranger. And love everybody. And, of course, too much of a good thing is wonderful. We'll take lots of that. Talk to you later. Have a great and blessed day.